What's up, Facebook Live? We are at it again. This is episode number 2 of DJ R.O.B. taking it back, and we're doing it again. Man, thanks for watching last week. We had 400 views. 400 views on last week's Facebook Live.
It still goes.
Yeah, it stays on indefinitely on Facebook. So if you're watching this one, thanks. But if you missed the first one, it's on my Facebook page. You can catch up with all the stuff we covered last week and all the new stuff we're covering this week, which is a lot. I mean, it would take us 50 episodes to cover our 40 years in the nightlife and entertainment business. Once again, my guest is DJ Frankie.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to be promoting our Reunion 2021 event, which is August 20th, Friday, August 20th at Rockstar Bar. We'll get into that later. Let's get right into history. I'm going to let Frank take over because, you know, we're old school. We're Las Vegas DJs, and a lot of people ask us questions about how we got started, how we met. We covered a lot of that last week, but there's some other people that we want to give shout-outs and bring up the whole historic start, late 70s, early 80s DJ clique that was going on here in Sin City, Las Vegas. So, Frank, talk a little bit about that, and we'll just work up from there.
Well, last week we tried to go in chronological order from the beginning to the end, and as Rob was saying, it's 43 years of us doing this thing, and it was really hard to cover as much as we could anyway last week. But what I want to say in a nutshell is that the DJ world for us, especially in Las Vegas, opened us up to so much media, some national, some international. It opened us up to travel, some national, some international. And it opened us up to rubbing shoulders with celebrities and some homegrown celebrities as well, and a lot of fun. So we've been blessed with this lifestyle through DJing and through music. But talking about the other people who were very involved in propelling, I guess, the whole nightlife culture and the music scene in Las Vegas, we're about to mention a few of them. And I refer to them as the founding DJs of Las Vegas. And there was a lot. You know, in the clubs, of course, there was Jimmy E., Chucky Juice, Richard Scotti, Junior Romero, Angela Howell, Billy Cicilli, Little John, and so many more. Please forgive me. Gary Casio, of course. And forget Mark Rich, of course. Jack and Greg from the brewery. But on the level of street DJing, the street DJs who were doing the roller skating rinks and the mix shows and the parks, we can't forget them because they were really in touch way more with the people and the crowd and the audiences that were just on the street who might not even became interested in dance culture yet. And I think we were lucky enough to do both ends of that spectrum, me and Rob, from the nightclubs and from the streets. And I think that's what brought us together at first. And just want to mention those guys. They were very influential in starting what we ended up picking up and doing. And some of those names were, of course, Hurt 'Em Bad, The Twins, Stacy G, Smooth C, WC, Windjam, Rory, Tiger, LC the Love Captain, DC Ryder, El Babo, and the list goes on and on. But we were very lucky enough to have a recording from KCEP Radio, which I was on simultaneously with the Magic Mix on 91.5. I was also a year later doing it simultaneously on KCEP 88.1. And it was January 12th, 1991, that they actually did this interview with the old school DJs, which back then they were considering us the old school DJs in 1991. And we have footage and audio of that actual day and time. And it's a few minutes long. It's 8 minutes long, I think.
What year was that?
1991.
So this is a historic audio recording and some actual photos that were taken that day. You'll hear, I couldn't make it that day. I was out of the country. But
right.
Here is a little exclusive clip from KCEP when the DJ powwow happened. We got a ton more stuff to go on, but this you might find interesting on a historical level of the DJ. So check this out real quick.
Send us your comments.
And good morning and welcome to a late special edition of Straight Talk. I'm your host, Lawrence Weekly. I'm highlighting and spotlighting local disc jockeys and radio personalities. And what we're going to do today is just talk to some of Las Vegas's, I guess, veterans and some of the newcomers and just give you a chance to kind of get to know some of the people you jam to all the time through the city, whether it be in a club or right here here on FM 88 or other places that you've been around in the city. In my panel right now, I have a house full today. Consists of DJ Frankie. We have George Lester. We call him Hurt 'em Bad. We have LC of FM 88. We have DJ Twin, and we have DJ Rory. And we do have some of your other favorite radio personalities and DJs waiting in the wings. We're going to kick this off, starting with, I guess I'm going to call him, I hope this don't offend him, one of the godfathers around here, who was kind of, I guess, a mentor to a lot of us now that are in the business. I'm talking about Hurt 'em Bad, George Lester. Good morning, George.
Good morning.
All right. Tell us, George, how did you get into this business that you're in?
Well, I came to Nellis Air Force Base. I was in the Air Force, and I came to Nellis, and they didn't have any good discos out there. And coming from England, I was so used to going out discoing and partying that I decided to start my own. So I pulled my brother and my cousin in from Miami, Florida, and we started the Hurt 'em Bad Disco. And we started out at Nellis Air Force Base, just giving parties out at Nellis. And it expanded from that to going to the parks on Sundays. And the Las Vegas community embraced us with that. And the rest is, I guess, a piece of Las Vegas musical history.
DJ Frankie. What's happening,
yeah.
How are ya? East Coast man, huh?
Right, originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, give us a little in-depth on you and how'd you get in the business?
Well, I got into business just by having an interest in music. I had a very good record collection in New York, but I think I became professional and I took it seriously when I moved down to Las Vegas. I was about 17 years old and I didn't want to start working in the kitchens or doing any work like that. So I put my record collection to work and made a couple of tapes, but you did say the Godfather was Hurt 'em Bad, and that's definitely true because when I came to town, I heard his commercials on the radio. So I said, who is this Hurt 'em Bad guy? And I tracked him down at the roller skating rink at the time. And I said, I was a DJ from New York City, and he said, cool, and we hit it off pretty good, and he said, we'll get behind the turntables, and if I'm not mistaken, I was the first one to do some kind of crazy scratching at that time, and
First I've ever heard.
yeah, and they were bugging out, and they come around the booth, and they were laughing, and he's a white boy, and then that was that. He asked me, does he rap? And I said, yeah, so we had a little rap routine that we used to hoax all the time, and it worked out real well. I started working with Hurt 'em. We did dances, and then Hurt 'em hooked me up with 91.5. It was a college station here, and he hooked me up with a show called The Magic Mix. He spoke to them and said, how would you like to have this guy from the City nightclub? It was a place I was working at the time, and then Twin worked there too, as a matter of fact, as one of the DJs. He hooked me up with the show, The Magic Mix. It became a huge success. I was very lucky. It ran for a few years, and I was the first to mix on the air, and from there, it just started working in local nightclubs and mobile business. Any which way you can make money in this business, I think I did it since.
Okay. Twin, DJ Twin. All right. Yep,
I guess you could say the old school. Cause I was brought up under the wings of Hurt 'em Bad and Frankie, DJ Frankie. It all started for me is when I used to live on the base. George used to always do these dances on the base, and they were called the street dance on the base. So he inspired me to get into the business because I used to see him all the time, and that's what I wanted to do. And then I started getting my own equipment, and then I got my first big break at the park. And then, after that, I got into the club thing when Frankie owned his nightclub, the City nightclub. So I started working there and also in the skating rink because I used to work in the skating rink downstairs early from 8 to 12. Then I go upstairs.
At the top.
Well, yeah, it was the top when Hurt 'em had it, and then Frankie got it, and it was named it the City. So I used to work in a City nightclub at the ripe old age of 18 years old.
Don't forget, there's one person that is part of history is out here, DJ R.O.B.
Yeah, DJ R.O.B. is not here. He started.
I extended the invitation to Rob. He went to Hawaii on me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to let.
That's anyway. Yeah, to Mexico. He went to Mexico 5.
Oh, he went to Mexico.
Right.
Okay, fine. Missed my show for Mexico.
He invited his friends, right, fellas?
That's right. Yeah, really. We do have with us Tiger, DJ Tiger from the VIP Patrol. Sitting here listening to all this stuff that's going on today, Tiger, and we're talking with some of the godfathers around town, DJs that got it all started. What type of inspiration has this been for you?
Oh, man, inspiration. I really got into it when I used to see DJ R.O.B. and Frankie and them down at That's Entertainment. And then when I used to see them, I said, man, the scratching and all that, seeing everybody moving on the dance floor, I'm like, man, these boys getting busy. So I think that's what really inspired me was DJ Frankie and DJ R.O.B. and Twin.
All right, and one of my mentors and one of the guys who I guess is really responsible for me being here at FM 88, of course, DJ Rory. What's
How
up,
you doing?
guy? All right, guy, tell us about it. From Chicago. Let me ask you this. Now, you started out doing some clubs here in Las Vegas.
Right,
I remember.
exactly. Well, it started at Uptown because
Okay.
Frank, had this concept where he was working, with the owner of the club, Neil. Okay, and it used to be, what was it, the Zoo, Frank, or Oz?
it was the Oz, the Zoo, it was all of them, yeah.
Right, and
All
it
those
was
things.
just one of them situations to where they had an idea to open up a black club, and at the time, I was working with Frank, we had a crew called Street Beat.
That's right, Fundamental.
And that was, it was a 5-member team, it was, DJs, rappers, scratchers, whatever, and, we used to do all the park parties, hotel parties, and I also... That's Entertainment, the hotels, JC Park, the whole 9 yards. And then I also had my independent thing here at 88, and it was called the Super Mix. And that was my own thing,
Okay. LC, where did it all begin for you? Because both of us are natives here. We graduated the same year, and you were here at the station.
Well, believe it or not, it might sound kind of funny, but all these guys in the room right here inspired me, especially Frankie, Rory, and R.O.B, because, I think when the partying and the nightclubbing and all that stuff was at its peak in Las Vegas, I was in the arena right about
Right. All right. Let's go on to you. WC, the Wizard WC Saturday Night Showdown. So about all these guys here, were any of these guys in here an inspiration to you?
Well, I started with Hurt 'em Bad.
Okay.
We both were at NCO Club.
Mm-hmm.
I started there, and I met, between that, it was like Frankie. I met Frankie with Hypo Scott at the time, too.
Right. Okay. Let's go to line 1. Hello, you're on Straight Talk.
Yeah, I'd like to say what's up to Frankie, man. You probably might remember me last school year. You came to Votech.
I remember I came to speak to the students about what they can do in the musical career.
Yeah, we had the crew, and we tried to get that little dance thing together, right?
Right.
Yeah, they didn't give it to us. But, I just wanted to say thanks for, all the effort that you put into it, although, it didn't even go over, man.
I appreciate it, and the call made it all worth it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks a lot, guy. Yeah. Bye-bye. You're on Straight Talk.
How you doing, Larry? This is Jason Duckworth.
Hi, Jason. Good morning.
Good morning. I'd just like to say thanks to all the DJs in the room, for, spinning and keeping everybody dancing, from DJ Frankie way back in the JC Park days to Twin and Uptown.
Woo! That was a historical audio and interview. What'd you think?
It was great. I'm so glad that I still had that. It was actually on cassette. As soon as I put the cassette in, it ripped. I had to undo it and do an operation on it to get it back together. But so great hearing that again. It's been the first time I heard it in many, many years. And just to see the props that those great founding DJs gave us gave me chills. They were all great DJs themselves, and to look to us in a way to say thank you for opening the door was a gigantic pat on the back. And I'm so glad that we did when we did it, what we did when we did it. I'm so glad that it was during that time before the digital age and all that. I'm so happy about that.
So, talking about historical DJs and historical events, we touched on it last week about the hotel parties and the dances we threw, and a way to entice people to come out was the dance contest. Now, dance contest in Vegas, it's like synonymous from back in the days. The brewery used to have a dance contest. I remember I was 16 years old at El Dorado High School. They had the dance contest at 2 a.m. at the brewery on a Sunday.
Right.
And they wouldn't announce the results because they wanted people to stay and drink. And so about 5 a.m, they'd announce the results. All locals, so it was not a big deal. It was a big deal for me and my dance partner, Ray Pratt. Stingray, shout out again. But the dance contest, at the brewery, getting home at 6 a.m. and going straight to school. I remember driving home with the sun coming up and telling Ray, now you better go to school, because I was into school. Of course, Ray didn't show up. But I used to go to school, but had some cash in my pocket because a lot of times we won the dance contest. But in doing our events, we promoted dance contests so that we can get more people there. So we're going to talk about the dance contest, of course. This one, God, this is from like 1981 or 82.
This one was a great one. This one is the Dunes.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the dance contests all the time, and we had, as you can see, it says, see your favorite DJs in the caller. The Twins, the Sophisticated Gents,
And Hurt 'em Bad. Hey, let's do the Hurt 'em Bad song real quick.
It's Hurt 'em Bad at City View this Friday night.
If you guys remember that, splash it in the comments because
it also had more bounce underneath it. Boom.
Yeah. You knew it was a Hurt 'em Bad party when he had that little commercial on with this little jingle.
It was great.
But back to the dance contest. Like we said, we did hotel parties. We'd get some crews to do the dance contest. I did a party for my birthday at the Troubadour. We had Byron Davis perform.
The Drunk was his big song.
The Drunk, and My Hands Are Quick in the Eye. We had a battle, a pop-off between the Omens and the Anno Vipers. God, this was way back. If you guys remember these crews, that was way back in the day.
You also did a dance contest at your school dance. I'm glad you're putting that up.
Here's a story.
This is a good one. This is a good story.
This is right before I did my school dance. I did a dance at the UNLV ballroom.
Oh, actually, right.
Frank used to do the dances at the ballroom, and I said, "Hey, I want to do my own dance with my own name." So we negotiated with the faculty because we were doing the magic mix, and I did one at the UNLV ballroom, and
very crowded.
It was about 1,200 people.
It was packed.
And so what happened from there is the teacher, Coach Stevens at El Dorado,
oh no,
wanted me to do his high school dance in the quad of the El Dorado. So all my El Dog peeps from 81, 82, 83, 84.
But he also brought up to you that they don't get many people at the dances. Do you think you can bring more?
Right. He said, the last dance we had last year, we used this dynamic sound company. 50 people showed up. I said, 50 people? I said, I can guarantee 500. He said, that's impossible. We've never had more than 100 people at our dance in the history of El Dorado. And I said, well, I just did a ballroom, UNLV ballroom for 1,200 people. If I promote it with my name and the radio show that we had going on, and I throw a little dance contest, so I had a little, as you can see on this flyer, had a break dance contest. And the deal with Coach Stevens was, he was shocked that I said I could bring those numbers, and he said, okay, you're going to get $2 for every person. We charge $5. It all goes to the school fund, the PTA, whatever the heck it was. And I said, okay, I'm getting $2 off the door. You're getting $3. Sounds great. I had Frankie come with me. The dance was off the hook. It was over 500 people.
Yeah. I was on the mic too. We promoted it on the Magic Mix. We knew it was going to be a success, but it was really crowded. And the people were so excited about it and dancing, and it was great. So at the end of the event, of course, it was just a great event. No problems at all. Everybody just had a great time and big smiles on their face. We're going to count the money in the back. What did he say to you?
He said, wow, great job, Rob. That was unbelievable. You did a great job. And he had the little metal container with the money. Frankie and I, we know he had the clicker. We knew there was over 500 people. I knew I was getting at least $1,000, $2, $2 a person. Mm-hmm. He comes up to me and he pats me on the shoulder and he says, great job. And he gives me $200. And then I look at Frankie, and before I can open my mouth,
I just went into Brooklyn gangster mode. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about over here? You told the kid $2 a head. We announced it on the radio. You got a bigger turnout that you ever could dream of. You're giving that kid the money tonight. Well, but we can't. What you can't?
And the coach even said, "Would you bring your mafia henchmen to squeeze me for the money?" And we kind of laughed, but
yeah,
he ended up going
you give the guy the money. No, we're not leaving without the money. I said, we are absolutely not leaving without the money. The kids find out that this went down, there'll be a riot. And he was just, boom, boom, boom. He shelled out the money. Me and Rob cracked up about it later. But I was mad. I get mad easy, unfortunately, and that really, really aggravated me. You make the guy a deal. You don't expect him to bring more than 50, 100 people. He brings 500. Pay him. It's the end of that.
But yeah, we did have a breakdance contest. Yeah. I ended up getting my money. And then, of course, the dance contest on that subject matter, the brewery had one. Tramps had a famous one.
Shark had a talent contest, which was mostly dance.
Which was cool because you had people doing fire breathing and magic, and sometimes the dancers won.
Yeah.
What other? Lipstick had a dance contest.
Lipstick had a dance contest with breaking, and you guys did the break show first.
One of the most famous dancers.
Yeah.
Well, Frankie recruited great judges.
Yeah, I got to tell you, there was bigger judges at the dance contest at Tramps than there was the contestants, and there was great contestants. I used to advertise on
contestants.
Yeah,
one of the most famous ones.
One of the most famous contestants.
Tom Terrific.
Tom Terrific. Pushing the bush. And I used to say when Tom came on, I would always say, next up is a legend in his own mind, dancing in my contest since 1979. He took second place in a contest once when he was the only contestant. Give it up right now for a legend in his own mind, been dancing in my contest since 1979. Tom Terrific! Now, the great thing about Tom was he was a good sport. he took all that, and so many people came just to see Tom. They would throw money at him. Sometimes he'd be sweating and the quarters and the nickels and pennies would stick to his body as he was dancing. He'd pull up his tube socks, and there was these guys who worked the Baccarat room from the Tropicana. These Guidos, they were in their suits every week. Is that Tom Terrific going to be here tonight? Yeah, all right. They'd put $100 in his G-string just to see him dance because he was such a good sport, and he made the show. He was funny.
But back to the judges that you had?
Yeah. We had Mike Tyson, Roseanne Barr, Dice Clay, Paulie Shaw, Leroy Caldwell, the local boxer, who also did security for us at our dances. Angel Salazar from Scarface. He gets shot in the door when he's saying, Tony, let me in, Tony, let me in. He gets machine gunned on the door before Tony comes out and machine guns everybody, Al Pacino. And Angel Salazar started going out with a girl named Malika in town who was a dancer. She was a flapper in one of the shows here. And he started going out with her. And then when he was on tour with her, Sam Kinison ended up stealing her away from Angel Salazar. And Angel got thrown off that comedy tour because they had a big argument and fight over it. But anyway, she ended up marrying him. And unfortunately, she was with him when he passed in that car accident on the way from Vegas to Laughlin, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we had some big celebrity judges in that contest. And we also had great dancers who were on dancing, putting on the hits at the time. And
What about the Tappers, Rhythm Kings?
Yeah, the Rhythm Kings. I'm glad you brought them up. The Rhythm Kings.
They did us a favor. They were on, what was that show?
Star Search.
They were on Star Search. They were famous in Vegas tap dance crew, and they had a history. Their whole family roots were famous tap dancers. But they got the audition for Star Search, and they made it on. And they said, Rob and Frankie, we want to use DEF CON. Well, I said, that's great for two reasons, because it's going to be on the air on TV, and you're going to tap dance to an electro record that we produced. That's great. But the second thing is, then Star Search has to contact us because we're the copyright publishing holders, and we actually got paid great money for them to license that 2-minute song for their show. And they made it a few rounds, and they used the song a few times.
They did. You know what's funny about that? I mean, people who get money from BMI and ASCAP will know what I'm talking about. They originally paid us for background instrumental, and I looked into it. And background instrumental is like when they would say, "We'll be right back," and the music would go bam, 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 and I was like, "This is not background instrumental. This was choreographed to this routine." And they sent us more money. It was like 3 times the amount. So interesting for those who get money and royalties. They know how that works. But we were very happy to have that song on. It was so cool of them to involve it. They didn't need us. You know, they didn't need that song.
No, but they did it as a favor because we always help them out.
So thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, that was really cool. And those contests were awesome. They were really good contests. You had stars from Splash. Every #1 show, the Tropicana, they were in it. You had people who read about it in Dramalog magazine from L.A. coming from putting on the hits. The guy who did 19 all the time, 19, and people with the Michael Jackson one. The guy came out in the middle with all the sticks, and it was all the Michael Jackson dances connected. Remember he did Jackson 5? He made some puppets that were connected to him. So really good talent from locally and abroad. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff.
We had celebrity dancers in the contest. We had celebrity judges. In the contest, especially at Tramps. That was great times. And
we had celebrities in town always coming to hang out too, not just for the judges.
DJs in the hottest clubs in the later years, we brushed shoulders with tons of celebrities and ended up hanging out, partying with them, and DJing for them. And I know you got plenty of stories from Studio 54, and I got plenty of stories from Rain and.
Because we
even
were
Travolta Brewery back in the early 80s.
It's funny you brought that up. Yeah, a great story. I'm glad you brought that up. I wish I had pictures of that. I very seldom
They didn't
worked.
have cameras yet.
Well, they would have been in black and white for sure. But anyway, I very seldom worked early shift at the brewery. And when Rob said that you had to wait till 5 in the morning to get the results, in case anybody's going 5 in the morning, let me remind you, the brewery was open till 9 a.m. And my normal shift was 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. But once in a while, I'd work the early shift. Until the owner didn't want me doing that anymore because he said they made more money on the late shift with me. But anyway, I'm walking in early. I walk across the dance floor to check in the back. I had to clock in. And as I'm walking in, I notice these people sitting at a table, and I just look over, and I take about 2 steps, and I stop, and I went, wait a minute. And I walk backwards and look over. I see Muhammad Ali, Jane Kennedy and her husband, and John Travolta. And I was in shock. I was like, this was 1981. Like, you know, this is just right after the movies that he was doing. And I just went, oh, what are you guys doing here? And Travolta says, we heard this is a place to party. And Muhammad Ali said, is that right? I said, that's 100% right. I'm the DJ. I'll get you going all night. And Travolta said to me, hey, if you don't mind, there's a song right now with a saxophone. It's popular. I like it. And he was referring to Everybody's on the Beat, the BB&Q band. So I said, yeah, I'll play it for you. I'll let you hear it in the earphone and make sure it's that song. And I ran in the back real quick. I wanted to get on the phone and call everybody and tell them John Travolta was there. There's like 3 phones in the back. Everybody was on the phones. They were already calling, telling everybody. I promise you, in 15 minutes, the place was packed. Maybe a half hour. Packed from everybody calling and telling. And Travolta was such a great sport. He danced with everybody. He danced to every song. He was hustling with 2 girls at a time. And Muhammad Ali was dancing and patting him on the back and patting other people. They were getting autographs from that whole crew. All of a sudden, one song he didn't dance to all night. I say to the DJ in the booth, and Richard Scotti tells me it was him in the booth with me that night, that I called him from Jubilation, and he left, and he ran down. He put on a reel-to-reel. And I said, am I going to do this? And I did. I played on You Should Be Dancing, the song that he did the solo routine for in the movie Saturday Night Fever. Only song he didn't dance to. Soon as it came on, boom, 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 bow, 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 down. He looked at me, walked off the dance floor, and that was it. Everybody was screaming like, do something. He came up about 3 songs later and said, hey, I don't even remember that routine. We cut it in different parts, and that wasn't even on when we recorded the movie. And I said, I'm so sorry, John. I couldn't resist it. And then the rest of the party continued. He went back on the floor and danced with everyone. Years later, when he came to Studio 54, I brought up the story, and he said, I remember that. I don't know if he does, but he was nice enough. Yeah, he was nice enough to say he remembered it.
I remember that.
Yeah, I work hard on my hair, and you touch my hair.
And we got some photos of some other celebrities you brushed shoulders and hung out with from 54. And
man.
We both have similar stories with Jamie Foxx, and he actually moved to Vegas back then.
Yeah, he lived here for a while.
2003-ish, 2002-ish.
Yeah, earlier. The ones were from 99, 2000 at Studio. Yeah. But maybe he wasn't living here yet. I don't know. But this was actually at the Playboy Mansion. And I first spoke with Jamie when I saw him at Olympic Garden. We were both at Olympic Garden. I went over and I started talking to him. And at that time, the big fame from him was in Living Color. So we were talking about In Living Color, and we had some good conversations of some of the girls we had the same interest in. And years later, we became friendly. He came to studio all the time. And this was when we were all at the Playboy Mansion. It's a great story that night because we ended up going out that whole weekend. And we ended up going to that club, Dublin's. And we all got in, and I told him I knew the guy at the door, which I did. He used to work at Pure, and he happened to be there now, Pure in Las Vegas. Now he's working Dublin's. We all went up to a private party that Hef was doing the night after the mansion party. This was Midsummer Night's Dream, this photo. And that's myself, Shera, Jamie Foxx, and Tashara. And we all went to that party the next night. And Fred Durst was at our table, and it was a cool party. But the best thing about it is when we left in the limo, and we were going to Fatburger. Me and Jamie said, let's go to Fatburger. And we pulled up in the Fatburger, and they were closed. And Jamie was like, what do you mean you're closed? You're 24 hours. And the guy behind the counter was like, sorry, we're going to clean the grill. It's going to be at least 1 hour. And Jamie goes, oh, man, all I wanted was a Soul Sonic Force burger with some nucleus fries. And I was like, oh, really? I said, because all I wanted to do was an atomic dog, hot dog, with some wiki fries. And he was like, oh, it's going to be like that. And he started naming all the old school songs from the 80s, and I started naming the old school songs, and I was going crazy. Cutie Pie, more bounce to the ounce, zap. And he was like, all right, I give up. How are you doing that? And I said, I'm just naming all the songs I visualize in my record crate right now. Anyway, as they were pulling out of the spot, the limo driver hits the limo on a piece of metal, and Jamie's like, yo, I'm going to get my boys after you. And he said to me, the limo driver said to me, is he serious? I said, of course he's joking. It's Jamie Foxx, number one. Number two, this ain't his limo. You own it. It's a rental. But it was a great night, and we've had many parties and fun with Jamie, just as you had.
Yeah, this was early in Rain. We were hanging out. This was probably 2001, 2002, because the club opened in 2001. And I remember the DJ booth was still upstairs, so it had to be 2001. Jamie Foxx hung out and rocked the mic, and it was a great time. And then the funny is 20, or let me see, that was do the math. I don't know how long ago. This was only about a year ago. I ended up DJing for him. He was one of the founders or investors in this iPhone accessory thing. We did this little party at MGM, and he hung out, and we made it a party. I mean, we made it a party. I got some exclusive footage. Hopefully we don't get copyright stricken.
Yeah, you got to watch the volume because they pull you off. If the song is on, they pull you off.
There's a a moment when I'm DJing with Jamie Foxx and we do this little impromptu routine. We didn't rehearse. They told me that day, Jamie's going to come party with you and this and that. And then I said, you better remember me from Rain. He goes, man, I knew you looked familiar, blah, 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 blah. So, but check this out real quick. There's some crazy footage.
London is in the building. This is how we do it in Las Vegas. Mama say mama side with Makusa. 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 We are not playing around right now. We're going on the road. Me and DJ R.O.B.
Going on tour with DJ Rob R.O.B. He just said.
Yeah, he was fun. So celebrity stories, we got plenty of them.
Oh boy,
like you say, hanging out, performing with them as DJs and musicians. We started getting into endeavors of our own, producing music videos, directing music videos. Me producing music, recording studios, and now video studios. But we got a lot to cover, and we got a lot of people in the comments. So I want to shout out some few. Oh, Jonathan Infectious. What
Jonathan, how are you? And Mike was saying something about UNLV. He said the first time he saw me spin was at the UNLV halftime. And what's funny about that is I did the halftime show. Rebels were real big that year, and I moved out the sound system to the middle of the floor. I did a rap and a scratch routine. So I did my rap, and I actually did Good Times, Good Times, Good Times. And I don't remember how many years later it was. Rob ends up doing the routine halftime, just like me. Did you do a rap?
No, I didn't do rap, but I was on the half court line. Right. I remember Willie Will. Shout out to Willie Will. He always reminds me of that story because this was like championship years when they actually won the championship and they were hot. And I did the halftime show where I did
scratched.
I think it was It's Time and stuff like that. You know, you probably did Good Times.
I did Good Times.
I did It's Times, but I had to do it a little different. And they had the little miniature UNLV balls that you bought on the concession stand area. They were like the little miniature ones. So as I was scratching, I grabbed the little UNLV ball and I was scratching instead of my hand on the vinyl. I had the basketball on the vinyl. Everybody thought it was cool, and then I threw the ball out into the audience and stuff like that. But those were great times.
Yeah, it was awesome. And, you know, there's so many celebrities that we rub shoulders with, but some of them are homegrown. Not just like Jamie, who lived here for a year or two, but some of them who have been here for many, many years.
We're going to get to the homegrown celebrities.
We're gonna get to that.
While we're on the Rain
studio thing, Rain the Studio. This is Christy Shake, Playmate, Hef, myself, and another Playboy model, Shera, from town. And this is at Studio 54. And he came very often. One of the times that he came was at one of his birthday parties.
Which is this probably his 95th birthday party?
It was 105th. I'm not sure. But what had happened was, look, it looks like those ears are on me. But anyway, Tony Curtis, who's been there many times as well at Studio 54, he and I spoke to him many times. I love him. And he was supposed to sing Happy Birthday that night. It was all arranged. Tony Curtis was going to sing Happy Birthday to Hef. They come to me about 10 minutes before. Chris Coley, as a matter of fact, came over to me a little before and said, Frank, Tony Curtis isn't going to be able to make it. He's under the weather. You got to sing Happy Birthday and say this little speech. So I memorized the speech real quick. Well, I probably could never do that these days, but back then I memorized it real quick, and I sang Happy Birthday. E-cameras were there, Channel 36, videotaping. It was great. But the
WC, you missed the story about yourself. Watch it later. We just talked about you a little while ago.
Absolutely, man.
But finish the story.
Yeah, so I sang Happy Birthday, and I did the speech real good, so I guess I wasn't thinking as much as what I should have been doing, because I got by the speech that I memorized real quick, and I said, everybody, it's time to sing Happy Birthday. So here we go. I started out too high. I was like, Happy Birthday. And I was like, oh my God, where am I going to go from here? And then I was like, Happy Birthday to Hef. And everybody was cracking up. They saw me choking. The veins are coming out of my neck. You can see it in this picture. I'm struggling. But it was another great night there. Britney Spears was there for his birthday. So many other celebrities. Like I said, Tony Curtis didn't make it. He was feeling under the weather. That's why I sang it. But another one of those fabulous memories from Studio 54. And this one was with Hef.
And it's funny, he celebrated his whatever 90th birthday party.
Well, the very next year, put it that way. Whatever the birthday was, the very next year they did it at Palms.
Well, he had an affiliation because at Palms, of course, we had Rain nightclub, we had Ghost Bar, and then the new tower, they had the official Playboy Club and the Moon nightclub, which was on top. Yeah, because we had the ceiling that opened up, and they had let me know that Hef was going to have.
Though it was the Girls Next Door.
Yeah, it was the Girls Next Door reality show, but it was for Hef's birthday, and what they wanted to do was do Kendra DJing and rapping "Happy Birthday" for you, Hefner.
And they came to you at the last minute.
They called me and said, we got to rehearse. Kendra's going to come in the daytime, and the reality show is going to film, and we want you to teach her how to DJ for the TV show, and then we're actually going to film that night when she does it live in front of the whole Moon audience. And I was on that reality show. Here's a little clip from me teaching her how to DJ, and then what happened that night. Check this out.
I heard that they really wanted me to DJ at Moon that night, and I'm like, DJ? I've never DJed before. I've never ever put my hand on a fucking record and scratched before.
You ready to spin?
No. Yeah, I'm excited. That equipment is like, it scares me, you know? I don't know what to do. All I know is to push a button to play a good song, and that's the only thing I know.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I went up there to practice, and I'm like, I'm not, you know, all that was running through my mind. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I only had 30 minutes to prepare for that night, and I'm like,
What I first going to do is I'm going to show you this intro I made just for you. So
an intro?
It's dope. You ready?
Okay.
Hold on.
It better not be like my WAP or something.
No, please.
It better not be. No. I will take that record.
When you play tonight, this is what you're going to start
with.
Kendra from the Girls Next Door. Party people, get your ass on the floor. Kendra from the Girls Next Door. Party people, get your ass on the floor. Kendra from the Girls Next Door. Party people, get your ass on the floor.
I love it.
Get some of the other songs that you like.
Damn, I feel so special right now. I love that.
But before you can do that, you got to learn to mix.
Yeah, right.
So you ready to learn?
I'm ready. Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll load a beat on this side.
Okay.
And then you're gonna cue it up, the other one on this side, and we're gonna get you to mix it. You're gonna release it on that 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm gonna show you how to grab the record. You're gonna feel it, and then you're gonna go 5, 6, 7, 8. You're gonna let it go.
It's a lot of like thinking.
It's definitely technical. You gotta be a musician and an engineer and an entertainer because you want to play all the right songs.
Let me tell you, learning how to DJ is way more than just like touching a record and pushing a song. It's way more than that. I wish I really would have paid attention. So they invited me up to the booth. I was nervous at first because I never did it before. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it all I got. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna give it all I got. I think it was so cool that I got to DJ for Hef's birthday. I'm like it was so cool. I think Hef was really proud of me when I was DJing at his party, so I felt like on top of the world.
Anywho, cool, fun stuff.
Very blessed to be in a DJ world in Las Vegas. A lot of great things.
What else are we talking about?
Well, the homegrown celebs.
Twimmy Twin was a resident DJ at Playboy. Shout out to Twin. Claudia worked at the Palms with us. What's up, Claudia? We're going to do a ticket giveaway.
Okay.
But let's talk about the reunion real quick. It is coming up Friday, August 20th at Rockstar Bar right on the Strip. If you guys didn't listen last week, we did some trivia. We gave away some tickets. We're giving you the location. Once again, it's right across from the Town Square Mall. Can't miss it. On the Strip, free, ample parking. You know, the last few ones we did downtown, you have your complaints about parking and finding the spot, then walking to the venue. This is
or
great
getting
access.
your car towed like...
Yeah. $10 for the pre-sale tickets. So Eventbrite, you can look up Reunion 2021, DJ Frankie, DJ Rob, and the tickets are on sale at Eventbrite. I got my man K Wine in the house. Well, we got a lot of people, but just promoting that Reunion 2020. We'll do a trivia thing later if we can remember. But the people in the comments, listen, if you have a question,
Gabby,
or a memory, or something you want us to talk about, here's your chance. You guys always say, tell the old stories, give them the history, let them know how Vegas was back in the day. So from our 40 years of knowing each other and working together to today, now we're doing podcasts. It's crazy. We were doing mixed shows on a AM and FM radios. Now we're doing broadcasts all over the world. This is going all over the world on the internets, the interwebs. But Frank, what do you want to talk about next?
We were going to go to homegrown celebrities only because you have the photos ready, I hope. And then I'm looking, I see that Gabby was in. Sal Napoli was who I was talking about, who had his car towed last time.
Here's your Reunion 2021
You're not going to have
information.
To worry about it. This time the free parking and the drinks are like from $7 to $10. Bottles are like $110. The food is great. It's a really good venue, man. It's going to be a good party. Okay, so some homegrown celebrities. This is Steve Sharippa in the center there in the gray shirt with his arm around me. And he's with guys from The Sopranos, and that's Johnny. And then in the corner is Michael Imperiali, who's Christopher. This is when The Sopranos at their peak, and they were very hot. Now, my friend Steve Sharippa has been friends with us since 1978, 79. We all hung out at the brewery together and had meals at each other's houses, and we were all very close. He's the godfather of my brother's kids. But on this particular day, we were in New York, me and Richard Scotti. Richard Scotti's right next to me. And we were going to New York to meet Steve Sharippa. And Richie kept saying, Frank, you think the Sopranos are going to be there? I'm like, they're not going to be there. They're not shooting, you know. They're just, they're not friendly every day. It's just business. And we're driving in the car, and he says to me, but Frank, you sure the Sopranos aren't going to be there? I say, I'm sure they're not going to be there, Rich. So we walk into the restaurant. It was in Manhattan, of course, Little Italy. And we were in Little Italy, and we're ready to sit down at a small table. This is no joke. We're ready to sit down. And all of a sudden, Steve's phone rings, and he picks it up, and he's like, yeah. Oh, I forgot all about it. Oh, great. We just walked in to the restaurant. I'll save a table. So he hangs up the phone, and Richie goes, who is that? And he says, it was the Sopranos. They were filming today downtown. I forgot all about it. They're here in Little Italy, and I told them we're going to eat, so they're going to meet us. So a lot of the crew came to meet us, and it was great because everybody in the restaurant, they weren't even eating. They had their arms folded. They turned their chairs to our table. They were listening to all the stories we were saying. We're all loud talking. Michael Imperiali in the middle of us there. Christopher, he played on The Sopranos. And me and Richie were telling stories, and he made a great joke, Michael, that day. My friend Richie was going through a divorce, and you couldn't say, Rich, how you doing? Without him going, oh, not really too good. My wife left me, blah, 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 and he goes into the whole story. So he did that day at the table. And he said to Michael Imperiali, he said, yeah, my wife left me for the Verizon guy. And Michael Imperiali said, you mean, can you hear me now? And everybody cracked up, and everybody in the restaurant just clapping, watching us tell stories all day. So Steve's one of the many of homegrown celebrities from Las Vegas, and there is many. From the old days of Mark Slaughter and the guitars, and 702 is from here as well. And
so homegrown celebrities mean people who become actors, entertainers, rappers, the people in the dance music industry.
Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel's from here.
Who we all know, but... or me and you know, who was one of the first ones to release a record in Vegas.
The first one, I was going to use that as the trivia question, but they'd never know it. Okay. I don't think there'll be a lot of people knowing it, so I'm going to let you know. The first person was the granddaddy of the DJs, and it was Heard 'em Bad. And Heard 'em Bad put out this record that had Cutie Pie underneath it. It was great.
What year?
1981 or 82. And the reason why I'm confused is because... Profile was going to sign him. We were very friendly with the owner of Profile, Corey Robbins.
But that sample.
Yes, he actually called me on the phone and he said, Frank, was that reproduced or was it a sample? And I couldn't lie. I just said, I'm not sure. And he said, well, I got to talk to George about this. He said, I'm going to give George a deal anyway. We're going to do records together, but I don't know if I can release this one. A few months later, George did another one. Profile stuck to his word and pressed it and kept it on his label. And they released George's next one. And... from that day on, George was with Profile Records. I got to do a remix on one of them, and that was the first time I had my name on a record. 1981, 82, The Pump. a B-side of one of Herdum's raps, but he was definitely the first rapper out of Vegas to record and go on an internationally distributed record label. So we didn't want to use
So
that
after
one.
that, he did the Monday Night Football rap
Right, after
on
that-
Profile Records, which was the biggest rap label at the time.
Right, and look, it's 1982, the same year, so he stuck
That's
to
Run DMC label.
Yeah.
So
and that was before Run DMC was on the
So
label.
he got a lot of us motivated, and I actually ended up helping him produce some songs later on. We did that UNLV rap, which you can see that on the YouTube.
Lick It.
I did Lick It for King J on Profile Records. Shout out to King J. That was later on, but he had a good connection with Profile, so that helped. But we did the Tark Attack rap. You can watch that on YouTube. When the champion season, we did a music video and a whole little rap about during the Armin Gilliam and the heydays. What else did we do here?
A lot of people owe a lot to Herdum, including me. I owe a real lot to Herdum. Of course, after Herdum, the next guy to be pressed on internationally distributed record labels was Dino. And Dino was a great musician that when we were all DJs and hanging out, we knew he played keyboards, but we didn't know that he was that great. And he was
We talked
producing-
about that last week.
Yeah.
When we did our record, and we knew he was a keyboard player, so he joined Impact to do the DEF CON record, then did his own hits.
Yep. And he still does jazz till this day. He has #1 jazz albums with your friend, Paul
Taylor.
Taylor. And he doesn't brag about that. He doesn't let a lot of people know that he's still producing music. But Dino went on to big fame, and you guys, they traveled. When Dino and was making it, not only was Rob producing music with him, but he was in the show, as he mentioned last week. But one time they did a show in Vegas. Where was the show where you had fights in the backstage with all the other performers and stuff?
You remember that story better than me. I can never remember. I think that was at Thomas and Mack or something.
I thought it was Thomas and Mack, but then I thought Dino said it was on San Diego, one of your trips, because they were touring with the New Kids on the Block. Who else was on some of those tours? It was Dino,
we
New
did
Kids.
the Stevie B's,
Yeah,
the
Stevie
Keith
B.
Sweats. We did
Keith Sweat.
every state in the United States.
And we're
when,
talking big rooms like Thomas and Mack Center, you know.
We touched on a lot of it last week, but co-producing the stuff with him and helping him with the production, and then going on tour with him as a dancer, because dancing was part of my thing at the time, for about 2 years, every city in the United States.
Well, what about when you first started out in the in Palm Springs? In that Palm Springs?
we talked a little bit about that story because Dino said, I got shows. And I said, well, that's great.
And he was on Mainframe. He wasn't even on a national label
Right,
yet.
but
he was on
booking
Mainframe.
shows. And I said, well, I got a couple guys. We can dance. We'll help you out with the show. I think you came with us.
I did. I came with a lot of them. I came with a lot of them whenever I could. I have
to find that picture that goes with that funny story, but you can start it now if you want.
I'll start that story. So this is what happened.
This is what had happened.
At the beginning, when he wasn't on a major label yet. He ended up being on Island Records, Dino, and that's internationally known record label. But at first, he was picked up on a small label, and he was doing shows in the area that he was getting radio play, KMEL and all these other stations in California. The different California areas were supporting him and playing this record. That's how he got picked up by Island, you know. But when he was doing those small shows, they said, come with us to Palm Springs. I always wanted to go there. You know, Sinatra and everybody hung out there in the old days, and I always heard about it. And I said, yeah, let's go. I want to go to the show with you guys. So we went. Now, when we did the show, these guys weren't expecting the celebrity that came to them. You know, we're figuring they're going to do a show and a couple of people are going to say it's a great record. Maybe one or two people will ask for an autograph. That's what I was expecting. All of a sudden, I'm promising you, girls were like trying to grab them and they were getting chased. And the security guy actually had to pick up Dino and pull him off the stage. And so Rob was all hyped about that.
And that was early when he just had the one song.
He had one
You should
song, Summer
see
Girls.
When it was New Kids on the
I
Block
did
and all
see
that
it when
stuff.
we were in San Francisco.
Yeah, that
we
was
were in a
crazy.
big park in San Francisco, like a Disney park. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. This one was the small show when they first started.
I like that picture in the background. That's a nice
Yeah,
picture.
I got a great story about that
On the
picture.
wall there. That's
on
nice.
the wall. Now this is no joke, and I'm not going to exaggerate. Sometimes I do a little to make the story better. This is no exaggeration. He was all hyped out. This is before the show. He's all calm and everything's cool. But after the show, he was hyped up. Girls were trying to rip their clothes off, chasing him. We had to run down halls and stuff. I was cracking up going, this is crazy. I didn't expect it. We get in the room. He's all hyped up. We were already laughing at the room because even though this was old school and it was in the 80s, the room probably wasn't decorated since 1945. It was really old stuff. It had
Palm Springs.
the
I think
old
this is
school
the Frank
telephone.
Sinatra suite.
Yeah, the telephones with an old rotary dial. I'm not joking. It was a rotary dial phones and these old pictures. So I moved the picture a little bit, and I go, Rob, look how long this picture has been up here. There's no. You could see the yellow. The wall was kind of yellow, and it was white behind the picture. I couldn't get the picture to stay back on. I was like, oh man, I can't get the picture back on. Rob's all, oh, who cares, man? I'll get it. Rob grabs the picture, and in 1 second, just goes. Boom! Right over my head, and it's stuck on my arms like the cartoons. And I just listen to Rob do that rusty laugh. He's over there going, and the thing is stuck around my arms, and I just went, real good, man. What are we going to do now when we got to pay for the picture? And he took it off, cracking up, and then he ends up smashing the telephone. And the telephone broke into a ton of pieces. And he goes, it's about time to get a new one, wouldn't you say? This has been here since 1963. And the next day, he puts it all back together like a puzzle. He put every little piece of the phone. If you breathed on it, it would have fell apart. But he put it all back together, and he put the picture back together. And I go, what do you think they're going to come in? I don't know. It was an earthquake. It don't matter. And that was it. But there's a funny story, and it's true. That picture that was on the wall ended up over my head.
I used to do goofy stuff like that. What do you want from me?
Oh, it cracks me up when you do those crazy things.
A lot of people in the...
I see Mini Mike up there. Mini Mike. Oh, yeah.
The rain stuff. About 3 people said DJ AM.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a story. I don't know if we'll have time for today, but there's definitely some stories. Anything that we should also cover? I did want to cover the drumming and the ironic of us being drummers first and then DJing and being musicians, which ended up helping us in our DJ career, because if you were a drummer, half the battle of DJing was beat matching, knowing phrasing, knowing counts, bars, measures. So naturally, drummers...
Yeah, you become
DJs.
a better DJ because of the whole beat patterns. In music, you might refer to them as bars and stuff, but in DJing, we say beats, 64 beats, 32. This is a picture of me in my basement in Brooklyn playing my drum set that was originally a blue set, and I took everything off and made it chrome. And here's a picture of Rob around the same time, probably, with his red drums.
This had to be 1970. Yeah, we moved into that. It was 78 or 79.
So it was 4 years apart. And that's funny because, he's a few years younger than me, and it makes sense. And we were doing this stuff around the same time. And we were both drummers, and we both had an interest in heavy hardcore funk. And we both had an interest in DJing. And, I was never into capping, but he was. And his capping was great. And probably that's one of the things we didn't have an interest in. I knew people who did it, but I never saw anybody do it like him. He used to crack me up with it, and he'd come out with these lines so speeding fast. And he still does, even at his old age. I'll tell you a quick story that he probably didn't know I was going to bring up. Dino happened to come out here 2 years ago for his son's 21st birthday.
They wanted us to take him to some clubs.
We were taking him out to all these clubs, and it was fun because we all got together, and I promised his son when he was 1 year old, we got pictures of it, Dino's son, Matthew, I said, look, when you're 21, I'm going to take you to strip clubs in Las Vegas. Ha, 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 everybody laughed. Well, I tried to do that and take him to all other kind of nightclubs too when he became 21. So we're in the car driving to a club, and very... seriously, Dino says to Rob, so Rob, I just want to ask you a question. We're all older now, and we're going to walk in the club, of course, because it's my son's birthday, but we're older. I mean, how's it going to look when us older guys walk in the club? And Rob, speeding fast, just says, it's going to look like the crew of Cocoon's walking in. What's the big deal?
The cast of
Cocoon. The cast of Cocoon. I lost my air. I almost did the rusty laugh that he does. I thought it was so great. He came off the top of his head with it. And this is the kind of stuff that he does speeding fast all the time. And I just love that story.
But that actual drum set that you've seen in that picture.
Yours, the red one?
Yeah, that was a Ludwig I bought from a neighbor. And for those of my El Dorado alumni, you guys remember the Sounds of the Sun? I was a drummer from 81 to 84, and not usually, for the first time a ninth grader made it into Sounds of the Sun. I was a drummer coming from Del H, and a friend of mine said, you got to audition for Sounds of the Sun. I said, I thought ninth graders weren't really allowed to be in it. And he said, well, we need a drummer. All our good drummer is graduating this year. So I ended up being the drummer. As a matter of fact, when I first met you, I made you come see our show.
I did come see.
Remember you came to see in the gymnasium of
I met
El Dorado.
the teacher, and I talked to her.
Yeah,
when I seen her years later.
And
What was her name? That teacher,
Miss Jensen,
Yeah,
Dr.
Miss
Jensen. Everybody knows Dr. Jensen, Sounds of the Sun. But it's funny is I drummed those 4 years, and one of the cool stories of that was breakdancing just came out like '82, and I was getting into it, and in one of those shows, Stingray might remember this, or he might not. This was the year before him. I would get off the drums in the middle of a song, and just the bass and the guitar and the dancers all clap, and they would spread out. And I came off the drums, and I did a breakdance spin. And I think it was one of the first times the whole gymnasium, the whole school, seen it. And they seen the drummer get up, and I did a break, and everybody screamed like it was crazy. And then I got back on the drums and joined right on beat, and that was crazy. But speaking of the whole drum thing, I sold that drum set. I started DJing, obviously, 82, 83, 4, the high school dances, and that was more money. I didn't think drumming was going to get me anywhere, so I sold my drums to the kid who was in the 11th grade because I was graduating. Sold the drums and never looked back, was DJing for 30-something years. And then for some reason, I was on Craigslist, and there was this guy who said, my son went to college, he bought this drum set and never played it, and it's in our warehouse, and I'm going to sell it. It looked good from the picture. It was one of those things like you see on TV. Ooh, I might get a deal on this. So I went to the warehouse. It was like one of those stories. They pulled up the warehouse. It was a beautiful drum set, never even touched. I bought it for a few $100s, found out later it was worth a few thousand, blah, blah, blah. It's actually at your house right now. That's the one I'm talking about. I bought that drum set, stuck it in this room, which we're in right now, and then I was taking a shower. I remember this like it was yesterday. I said, what the hell did I buy that drum set for, And then I said to myself, well, God, because I'm DJing and I know all these musicians for many years, and we do these little sax-based combos as I'm DJing, we sell that product instead of just a DJ. Musicians along with DJs was real hot for the corporate parties. And I said, I know all these guys. I had this little whim. Let me just do a band. So I created this band with some old friends like Keith Nelson, great bass player, and we were called the Funk All-Stars. So some of you remember this. It was a little 3-year stint I did. It was a lot of work. We'll get into that. But I got Keith Nelson, who was actually in Sounds of the Sun a couple of years before me, and we ended up knowing each other. He actually played bass on Dino stuff. And Paul Taylor, great sax player, played on Dino stuff. I had the guitar player from Gladys Knight. I had the singer who sang backup for Prince, Elisa Fiorello, who had her own hits in the 80s.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a great group of people and call it DJ Rob and the Funk All-Stars. And I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, because we're talking about the musician thing, and we're talking about my dumb idea about having a band. But also, you don't know how many times on Facebook, and not a week goes by where I get a comment saying, when is the band coming back? Blah, 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 because I was doing the Silverton Old School Friday promotions. And anyway, we ended up putting the Funk All-Stars there and opening up for Confunction, opening up for Ohio players and this and that. But I come to find out it was a lot of work, and I'm used to being my own boss and only be responsible for myself. But when you have other band members and they're all-stars, they have other priorities, and just getting them all together and doing rehearsals, and then they can't make it and they sub out. It was a lot of work, a lot of equipment. But we rehearsed. We got some contracts. Matter of fact, Frankie, he knew I was rehearsing. He thought it was some little rinky-dinky band, and he came to Aliante, which was our first contract. We did like a 4-month contract, Aliante, and I made sure I said, Frank, you got to come see us. And he goes, all right. And then he came up to me afterwards, and what did you say?
I said it was great, but in my opinion, I never thought it was rinky-dink.
You said, you didn't tell me you guys were this good. This is unbelievable.
Right, but I never thought it was rinky-dink. I thought that with the mega talent he had in this group, I mean, you got people who were on tour with Prince, Gladys Knight, had their own albums out, played back, toured. They were so talented. I didn't think that he should have wasted that great amount of talent for just a Las Vegas lounge band. I thought Shay should have recorded 8 or 9 songs. 1 or 2 of them definitely would have been hits, and then they could have traveled with that, like the Tuxedo song that sounds like More Bounce to the Ounce and all that. You guys could have came up with stuff that sounded old school, but it was new, like Uptown Funk, and I think they would have been world-known stars. So I never thought it was rinky-dink. I thought they were fantastic.
When you knew we were rehearsing, not after you seen us.
No, I thought the concept of playing a lounge band was crazy when the talent was that big.
But I was trying to help support the promotions I was doing.
Anyway, they were great, and I'm telling you, first of all, the concept was great, but the samples that they used to make it sound exactly like the real song, the quality of the sound, Rob's a nerd with all this computer stuff. He does it right. The mics are always mic'd right. Everything was at the right volume levels. It was really cool, but I get what he's saying. It was too much work for the way they were doing it. But if you never got a chance to see it, you should see some of the old videos on his Facebook of the band. Really cool stuff.
I got a little 2-minute piece right here, but once again, I created the band because I was doing the old school promotions and I was booking other bands like the Confunctions and Ohio Players and the Lakesides and the Zaps at the Silverton. They let me be the music director and the host and the DJ. So it was DJ Rob and Silverton Presents, Old School Friday, starring Confunction, I just submitted all these bands and we booked them. But when I booked the band, I said, hey, I can get more money because I can have my band open up because I always have an opening band. That was one of the reasons why I did. And here's some footage right now. Some of you seen us live. Some of us maybe heard about it. Some of you never knew that I even did this band thing. It was just one of those little whims that I did that followed suit with the DJ career, the producer career. Here's a little 2-minute piece. So check it out.
Las Vegas, if you really, 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 really love some old school, somebody scream! Woo! You better walk the way you walking, baby. She's a brick house. Gonna do it like this. Yeah. Whoa, whoa. Come on, Paul Taylor.
So that's what we were doing. And like I said, people always hit me up. When's Funk All Stars performing again? When are you going to do the old school parties again? It's a lot of work. Just one of those things in the evolving career.
You know what? It was worth it just to have footage like that.
It was fun.
Because
at least being on stage was fun. The rehearsing wasn't fun. The setting up, the booking it, the managing of other personnel. Everybody's got their own life. It gets nuts. But that's a whole other story. And people who are in bands know this.
Oh yeah, any kind of music production is any kind of creative production, from films to music to whatever. It's a lot of work. People get to see the finished product, and if they're in that, they know it goes into it. But if you don't, it's a lot of work. But the rewards are usually good. And
shout out to Jay Nemeth.
Oh my God, Jay! All of a sudden, he's back to life with us. Yeah. I haven't got a return phone call from Jay in probably 72 years.
He's too busy flying in space.
I know. And our man Jay, he does all the space stuff, no joke. He's been doing it for Red Bull back in the day.
Shout out to Jennifer, Jay, Giorgio, Gabby, Chucky Juice. Oh man, the comments are going crazy. And while I got you, oh man, Kevin, I got to talk about my man Kevin for a second. He just posted Kevin Red Wine. I've known since 1980, 79, 80. Because we moved to Pasadena Boulevard. Anyway, you can remind me when we met, but I think it was like 79, 80. But when I was DJing the high school dances, and me and Kev, let me talk about Kevin. We go back. Let me find this picture. It's Kevin's favorite picture. Hold up. Let me see if I can find it. Frank, you talk while I'm finding this picture.
All right. Well, Chucky Juice brought up last week. I was reading the comments afterwards because I can't see. The computer's too far. But here's that picture with Kevin right there.
So when I say me and Kevin go way back like an 8-track and a Cadillac, this is me and Kevin with my 79.
79 or 80.
Eldorado Cadillac. That's Kevin and me. But going back to that story that he reminded me in the comments, thanks, K Wine. I was doing the high school dances and the school parties, and he wanted to do a backyard party for his birthday or something. So he asked his dad, hey, can I have Rob DJ in the backyard and have a little party with just some friends? And his dad said, well, how many friends? He said, I'm only going to invite 20. It should be just 20 friends, close friends, people from school, blah, blah, blah. So his dad says, cool. We go up there. We got the table with the fruit punch and the snacks. I got the sound system and the DJ thing. But, of course, Kevin told a bunch of people, and I was radio show and dance parties and school dances. Word of mouth. Woo. That was right when the whole hip-hop thing, the dance music thing, everybody wanted to go where the sounds were. It's like Cool Herc back in the day. You throw a system, people were coming. Yeah. So word of mouth got, Kevin, correct me if there was over 120 people in your backyard and your dad was going crazy. And at one point he had enough. And all y'all get out of here. Get out. This is my house. This is crazy and this and that. But thanks for reminding me about that. That was a great time. K Wine.
Looks good in that picture.
Yeah, that's when he was slim. The jeans were so tight you could see the date on the quarter in his pocket. You could see the date on the quarter in his pocket. That's how tight those pants were.
No, I was bringing up Chuck E. Juice before that.
Yeah.
Chuck E. Juice was one of the old school DJs I mentioned from the nightclubs back in the day. Jimmy E., Chuck E. Juice, Richard Scotti. I was going Mark Rich, Gary Casio. But Chuck's been around. He was even on the Magic Mix a couple of times with his recordings for the mix. And then he also came and visited us at Studio 54 in Rame.
Shout out to Wifey. Watching again.
But anyway, he was mentioning the ID last week. I don't know if you got that.
Your fake ID?
Yeah.
I don't think I put it in there.
Okay, well, we showed him another time.
Yeah, we got tons of stories.
I got my ID. I got this fake ID. So what happened was I met Chuck and they said to me, what's your name? Because I was, very young. I was doing this at 16 and 17. I was just about to turn 17 when I started this. I had to have fake ID. So he says, what's your name? And I said, Frankie, but everybody calls me Michael. And he just looked at me and laughed and goes, how does that work? And I was like, well, I sat down for my brother's ID. He's 4 years older. And I sat down for his ID to be 21 to work at the brewery. And that's what you had to do in them days. You had to get somebody, give them your ID. They go and say they lost it or whatever. And then they walk to the area where they take the picture. And you just sit down instead of them and wait for them to say your name. And they look and they see you and they take the picture. So that's how it was back then, before the digital HD, crazy fingerprint and eye scan and all the other stuff that goes on nowadays. But as a matter of fact, it was harder for me to change my ID back to my real age than it was for me to do the fake age back in the day.
Really?
Because I wanted to, I was looking like I was my age. I was looking like I was 108 on my ID. And I was like, no, I'm younger. So we changed it. It was a lot of work to change it, though. It really was.
Yeah, we're getting up there. Frankie's a little more up there than me. As a matter of fact,
my new DJ system you're showing?
Yeah, he's, the trending technologies with the DJ gear and stuff. Frankie showed me his new DJ setup that he has. This is like high tech. Check this out. This is Frankie's new DJ setup.
Controller.
Wow.
That's not my new controller.
You could catch Frankie spinning at the Convalescence Center on Sundays.
Man.
That's his new DJ setup right there.
Oh, my God. I wouldn't mind having that, though.
Okay, so anyway, we're over an hour and 10 minutes. That's what we did last time. We did an hour and 15 minutes. Are we going to give away some tickets? Are we going to... A lot of people wanting to do the DJ AM story. That's a great story. The AM thing is something that touches me. We became close friends. I want to talk about how we met, how I started booking him, the accidents, the death, tons of crazy information, and I know a lot of you want to know about that. And after being around for many years, we have a lot of stories, some sad, some happy.
Absolutely. So you closing up with that, or you're not going to wait for next week?
I want to maybe give away some tickets. Okay. Or do we have some to give away?
Yeah.
Or at least let's announce the party one more time. Once again, promoting Reunion 2021 is Friday, August 20th. It is on the Strip, 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Perfect location, right across from Town Square Mall. Easy to park, ample parking, ample free parking. We got tickets for sale now. Go to Eventbrite and search Reunion 2021 Las Vegas. You'll find it. Tickets are on pre-sale. Ray Pratt is asking, are we going to have a dance contest at the reunion? Yeah. First prize is a bottled water.
Oh man!
But do you have a trivia question ready? And then we'll give away tickets and we'll sign off.
I could make one. I could make one up. Let's see. Who knows the first music video that incorporated all the elements of hip hop, which was rapping, scratching, street dancing, popping and breaking, and graffiti? So
okay, repeat the question, and I'm going to start watching to see who gets this right. I don't think anybody's going to get this right.
The very first music video that aired incorporating all the elements of hip hop, which was graffiti, rapping, scratching, popping and breaking, and I think I said graffiti already, all the elements.
Somebody said Planet Rock. That's not correct.
No.
K Wine said Breakin'. That's a movie, not a music video. Wheels of Steel.
People
no.
from Flashdance.
That question's too hard.
It's too hard. So let's give them the answer. The answer to that was 3 Buffalo Gals. Three Buffalo Gals. Yeah, so it was
borderline.
Buffalo Gals.
Jay, borderline my Madonna. All right, something simpler.
Okay, let's come up with something more simple. Let's see.
What was the name?
Go ahead.
Of the mix show me and Frankie were doing on KUNV 91.5 from 82 to 86. 82 to 86. First one to answer what the name of the mix show was that we were doing on 91.5. Here they come.
Anybody got it?
We're coming. Remember, there's a delay.
Oh, okay. That's an easy one.
2 tickets to Reunion 2020, and the answer is, here comes Mike, Mini Mike. Of course, Mini Mike would get it.
Mini Mike would get it.
It was the Magic Mix.
The Magic Mix.
And then Michael Annabelle got it right. Jay Nimitz said Planet of the Tapes. That was the mixtapes, not the mix show. Scotty Holbert got it right. Shout out to Scotty Holbert and Eric Holbert.
Very good.
Daryl Sherrod got it right, but he was about 10 seconds too late. So, Mini Mike, now you don't have to call Frankie and ask for your guest list and your tickets and your free parking, and you want some hors d'oeuvres delivered to the table. Money Jamanaj. Mini Mike, you got 2 free tickets, and check it out. This is a Facebook Live. For those of you who enjoyed this, thanks for tuning in. Get your comments and questions for next week. Frankie, you're going to be in Miami next week.
I'm going to be.
We're going to have him teleported in via technology, and I might have another guest help me out. But if you missed last week's, this is a follow-up on some of the stuff we touched with. We touched base on a lot of stuff last week. So if you like this, go to my Facebook page. These are going to be here forever. So watch last week's. You're going to get some knowledge. We're going to talk about a ton more stuff. This was supposed to be 1 episode turned into, I think we're going to need 3 or 4, and kind of leading up to the reunion party. But thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Shout out to everybody that joined us. Like we said, last one had 400 views. I could see right now there's about 40 people or something.
All right.
And tons of comments, and you can watch this later if you missed it.
I just want to remind everybody, too, we didn't cover a dent. We didn't put a dent in it, but we got stories that cover Sinatra, Ice-T, the Beastie Boys, Run DMC, LA Dream Team. Real stories of us hanging with them and things that had happened during those times. So there's so much more that we're going to go into. So we hope you guys stay interested.
Our residency we had at the Bahamas.
Oh, yeah, the Bahamas and also Hawaii. And
when I did the hip-hop culture class at UNLV, I got footage of that. I was asked, God, that was almost 10 years ago. They have a hip-hop culture class at UNLV, and they had me speak, and I did this whole demo and this whole thing. It was pretty fun. We're going to show some of that. We're going to talk about tons of stuff.
So much.
So, are we
Splash,
good?
the old show in Vegas, so much more. So we hope that you guys were entertained by this stuff, and we hope that you stay tuned because there's so much more to come. We thank you guys for your years and years of support. We hope to see you at the event Friday, August 20th, Rockstar Bar. Tune in next week, please. Thank you.
Peace out.